And I don't know, I'm a bit older, so you might get my age with this. Back then, there was a publicity or ad on the TV and everywhere. They call it the old El Del Paso dilemma. It's a family. They were discussing about dinner. Some wanted hard shell tacos. Others wanted soft tacos, and they were fighting. Every time there was dinner, they had all kind of way to decide, should we go with the hard one or should we go with the soft one? Towards the end of the ad, the little girl say, why not both? And you could see the light bulb coming up, and the family were like, yeah. So why not both? Why don't we have both? Why do we have to choose law or grace? Why do we have to pretend it's either or when the Bible is not even saying that? The Bible is telling us it is both. And I'm going to try. Illustration is good, but they don't reflect everything. So bear with me with my little illustration, and I believe every time you're going to go in your car, you'll be reminded of this. As I was thinking and looking around, I realized most of our seatbelts represent law. Because it is not only required by law to make sure, especially in Quebec, that you have a seatbelt. The seatbelt is there to protect you in case of an accident, right? The seatbelt is there as well as a visual reminder for you as the driver, passenger, that you are safe. You are within the restriction of the law. All right? You can say the vehicle is your life. But as you get into life, you have to have your seatbelt. That's the law. But what I love about this, society understands the law, the seatbelt, is not enough. It's not enough protection for you, because as you drive through life, there might be accident, there might be something that arrive in your life, someone else out of nowhere can T-bone you or whatever, so they say, let's add more protection. They started with the airbags for the driver first. Then they were like, that's not enough. We do have passenger in the car sometimes. They added our airbag for the passenger, and they were like, that's not enough, that's not enough. So they added surrounded airbags for whoever is in that car. This is grace. And if you didn't get it yet, you're going to make me too excited as I try to develop this. Seatbelt is law. It is required. It's a visual reminder every day for you that you have to abide by it. But there's grace. Grace is there, but you don't see it. Maybe you've never been in a car accident. Grace is present, but you never see it until you need it. And I love it, because grace, as my Bible says, the more damage you get, the more grace you abound. You don't get it. You might get on a little accident and just nothing happened. Grace is there. No, don't worry. I still got you, but that's not too big for me. The law still protected you. But there's some accident that you get into that grace pop out of nowhere. Grace pop out to make sure each and every one of you stay safe within the vehicle. Or when you're in Christ, it's not are we under law, do we need seatbelt? But when you're in Christ, it's not only do we need grace only. When you are in Christ, Christ make everything available for you to make it to heaven. The law is important because it's a visual reminder that you have to stay in line. The law is a visual reminder. The seatbelt is a visual reminder for you to know that whatever happened right now, I am safe and secure in Christ. But sometimes we speed a little too much. My wife make a testimony, and I say, baby, you cannot say this, because you are saying that pastor has a heavy foot. Pastor sometimes, once in a while, maybe a little bit too often, will go over the speed limit. Thank God so far I never had a serious accident. But thank God at the same time, if I get in trouble, if I crash, grace, if the seatbelt don't hold me back. Because let's be honest, sometimes we don't put the seatbelt when, I'm just going to go there. We forget the law. We go outside of the law. But grace, there's no way you can be outside of grace, because Christ is always present to make sure his grace sure abound your sin. Oh, if I have to take a survey right now, who want to be under the law? No one. Okay, I agree with you. Who wants to be under grace? No one. And all right. But who wants to have both? The law is there to show us our sin, to show us what is sin, to show us what we should not do, or what we should do. Because as we look at the law, the first one say we should glorify, we should love God with all our heart, with all our mind, with all our strength. And the second one, that is as great as the first one, is to love our neighbor as ourselves. But God was merciful enough and say, you know what, this is good. But there's one of my child named Wedson. This guy is doing his best, but I know he will draw outside of the line. I know sometimes he might go left instead of right. I know there's one of my child that will do something that will not be pleasing to me. Let me make sure there's grace, there's the airbags to surround him when he finds himself in trouble. Oh, as you will drive home today, or as you will drive throughout the week, I hope and pray that you can see God's hands in that little vehicle that we call life. That as you put your seatbelt to stay within the law, that you are not completely under the law, because the law will not save you. Yes, indeed, it will not save you. But whatever may happen, if you are within the law or without the law, there's always grace. Oh, brothers and sisters, I pray that we stop that fight, because everything that God has given us is good for us and to make sure we reach home. The manufacturer of automobile, I want to believe they were smart. They were wise. But as we look at the Bible, I want to assume they saw God's law and God's grace acting together to make sure each and every one of us make it home. Oh, don't be afraid of the accident. The seatbelt will protect you, and if the seatbelt is not good enough, the airbags will always be there to surround you and your sin, in order for you to see God's hands in your life and bringing you home. So I pray that each and every one's stay within our vehicle, having our seatbelt. Even though we don't see the airbags, we know God's grace is sufficient enough.